A very, very warm good evening. This is Arnav Chaudhary. You are live on my YouTube channel, arunfoot. It is March the 10th, 2025, and another Indian football discussion on my channel. At the start, if you like the discussion that we're having, maybe even you're watching afterwards, do leave a like behind, do share with other people, and do subscribe to the channel so we keep on growing community. And as always, thank you very, very much for your support. Well, a little while ago, an Indian Super League game ended between Mohammedan Sporting and Punjab FC. Punjab FC were leading 2-0, but in the end had to settle for a 2-2 draw. And I guess that sums up Punjab FC's season. Sadly, its season. Another game which they should have, and but again, they couldn't turn things around. And as things stand, the Kerala Blasters can still go past Punjab FC. They face Hyderabad FC in the final game of the season. Otherwise, Punjab FC maximum will finish 8th or will finish 9th, while Mohammedan Sporting in their first ever ISL campaign finish on 13 points from 24 matches. Only 2 wins. And so therefore, let's wait and see. So, do you think Punjab FC coach is very rigid with his tactics? I'm not sure. I don't think it's rigid. I think he's given chances to players. I think the problem with the team, again, I feel they're selling it well, in the sense of, that we've given young players a chance. I think Punjab FC didn't have the options with the bench. Therefore, they blooded the young players in, and so let's see what happens. Did you see the conditions put on FSDL? Bonus is on AIFF. AIFF is shocked. I think ISL will soon be shut down. XYZ, I know you guys love these kind of stories and watch it and read it. Again, there is, I think, there are some realities in that story, but I think the story looks to me planted by the AIFF side. So let's wait and see what comes out. And therefore, I think I know a few things, but I'm not going to talk about them, I think, as I've known for a while. So therefore, let's keep it at that. When you know, why not sit him on 2 points in the vaccine squad? Okay, that's a good question. That's for most of the clubs to recognize and realize how to build it. They went for 5 attackers. Even in the winter, they replaced a striker with a striker. And let's wait and see and what happens. Bengal FC in Arkazakh, they aren't allowed to practice there. I remember a lot of speculations, a lot of I think one thing needs to be clear. Turkmenistan, as per my definition, as I guess, and as per your definition, is not a democratic country like most others in the world. So if you think that you're going to be roaming around and doing, I remember, I think, when was that? BFC going to play in North Korea and all that stuff. So you need to be clear about these things. And if you are, if you're gonna think that you're gonna go through and everything is fine and hunky dory, then I think, again, whoever planned this trip was very, very, very naive and didn't know what they were doing. East Bengal players reportedly locked in Arkazakh hotels. Some sources also claim harassment at the airport upon their arrival. crew locked in Turkmenistan. Aditya said, I think if anyone is surprised, sorry, they didn't do their homework. And this is what I realize with Indian clubs these days, go abroad. Most of the teams have not prepared themselves for these kind of situations. So let's see what happens. Hi, Blue. Let's see what happens. IS is not going to shut down. In fact, good things will happen. Both FSDL and AIFF clubs will earn an AIFF middleman. Corruption will be eliminated. Aditya, let's see what happens. Again, some of you guys seem to know better than the guys who are sitting there and having those conversations. Again, let's wait for the outcome. There again, all these stories now, this way, that way, planted stories. Let's see. I don't know where the corruption angle in this one comes in from, because it's a clear-cut deal, and ISL, FSDL, ISL clubs, all of them are. The whole structure has to be blamed. Be simple that that no one's been making money over the last 10, 11 years in this ISL structure. Can I explain the updates about FSDL and AIFF meetings? There is no update. There is some update which people are putting out. De facto, there is no update. I already expected this treatment to Turkmenistan, and that's a proper dictatorship. Exactly, Akash. It's if you think you're going to roam around, run around, and have it your way, sorry. Then these people, let's see. Good evening, Guruji. Heard some news. FSDL don't want to give more profit to FS. They told F, you guys do nothing with the profit money. What profit money? Where does the word profit? In this whole conversation, there is no profit. So that's the reality of things. Where is the profit angle coming into this whole conversation? Has FSDL made profits? Have the ISL clubs made profits? Has the AIFF made profits? No one has made profits, right? If IMG Reliance, FSDL, or whatever we want to call that Reliance body, was making profits, then we wouldn't be talking about a lot of things that we have to talk about, right? So therefore, that's the reality. East Bengal players are not given good food, and after that sanitary issues, only 4 SIM cards is getting tired each moment. What was the expectation of going to Turkmenistan? Right? Focus on your football. You're not going to be on your social medias the rest of the day. You're not going to be on your PlayStations. What did you expect? What do you expect? Ashish Rai, who sustained an injury, will be replaced by Abhishek Singh Thekcham for the March 2025 FIFA International window. Okay, interesting replacement. Heard East Bengal faced some issues at the airport in Ashgabat. Was it true? Rishabh, I've heard that as well, and they have not been happy with what has been offered and given to them. But again, yeah. Indonesia 2045 roadmap, I think you should see how they have planned it realistically. I think they will achieve it. They have starting from under 17 World Cup qualification on merit and slowly senior 2038 World Cup. Yeah. looks they've planned and worked on something, and let's wait and see what they can build, right? That's the challenge. Onava, don't you think this is a very good pressure tactic from Reliance to hold IFF accountable and make FF into a snake without poison? Again, is this the true story, or is there another story behind it? That would be my question. However, players start going injured, don't know why team selection is done, knowing players had injury. Sorry, everyone, for this delay of things. And yeah, sorry, back again. The problem with the players is always that you also do get injured. So Ashish Rai did get injured on Saturday, right? So he got injured on Saturday, and yeah, and that's then the outcome that someone like him misses out. But yeah, with these injuries towards the end of the season or before camps, it's not just an Indian problem. I think it's a general problem in football which happens. Let's see what happens. You see Mumbai winning against BFC, I hope. So therefore, let's wait and see. After the last game against the Blasters, I also felt maybe it's better for Mumbai City that the season simply ends, right? It hasn't been the best. Central Asia is unsafe and dangerous for Indians in general. Even Kyrgyzstan Indians have faced attacks when the attacks were initially planned for. Egyptians Indians got dragged in. Okay. I wonder if AFC will take any action on East Bengal treatment. A given complaint is raised. Rishabh, these kind of problems with certain countries persist. It is not a new thing. I know that the AFC is aware of that, but so therefore, it has happened. It will happen. That there are issues. I remember just last week, Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo didn't travel to Iran, if I'm right. So yeah, these things are there. Our approach should have been exactly like Indonesia. We should have focused on qualifying for FIFA U17 and good AFC Cup, but I see we're going reverse. Yes, Akash, that's the thing, right? That's step by step, built from foundation bottom up. I wouldn't recommend fellow Indians just to avoid visiting Central Asia in general. Okay. By the way, is the 5,000 crore loss sum correct? Blue, if you add up the figures of losses of the ISL franchisees, and if you add up the losses that Reliance will have made, I think 5,000 crore loss is a more than just right. AFC Conway is a joke full of nations which are hostile and active war zone. Yeah, but again, Akash, for them to keep the confederation running, I think this is you have to see from their perspective, they've kept the system running. As ISL clubs, any idea approach how much each team gets from media and central pool revenue of each club? Okay, there are, again, they don't release official figures, and there are always speculations of how much it is. But I don't have an exact figure to put out here. According to rumors, FSDL lost around 7 to 8,000 crore in all operations. Okay, but it's confirmed the AIFF didn't finally meet with the AIFF. There was something. Was it a meeting? I'm not sure. I support FSDL for cashless contract. Instead, give 50 crore per year to AIFF. If FSDL should giving the money on VR and RFDL, it will be better. Kudos to runs after 5,000 not still supporting. But the VAR thing is not an FSDL and RF. I mean, this whole structure needs to be looked at. No. Then sub-Saharan Africa, it just looks shinier on the outside. Inside, it's literal. Okay. And I believe FSDL will never be profitable or sustainable in long run. Biggest problems are lack of personal facilities, stadiums, and huge distances between clubs as is a white elephant. I think if you think that is the way that's going to work, that your trouble in this is very, very simple. The situation is simple. That it has to come from television rights. That's the only way that the ISL become, profitable. According to the new structure, profit will be distributed among FSL and ISL clubs, and profit created by ISL. AIFF will take 20% of it. This is something I've grasped till now. Yeah, but where are we talking about profits? That would be my question. Missed some minutes of your life. Can you share information about FSDL, Fresh, MRADL, no cash proposal, FSDL, are they entering to some partnership, percentage share between the two? SB Sports Extremes, there are some rumors. There is nothing confirmed what it is. I think at the moment, if you look at that 15-year contract between FSDL and the AIFF, you know, that there is a situation where you have to find a solution to that, and the problem at the moment is that FSDL thought that by committing 50 crores, they would generate more money than those 50 crores because there is a certain sharing of additional revenue gained with the AIFF and within the system. That's not happened because the mean one again and again, go back again and again and again and again, is television rights. One piece of advice you have to give to the Blasters management is how to run a club. Pradeep, the problem of the Blasters is the question has to be asked, are the owners looking to be successful on the field or are they looking at numbers? Now, the Blasters are one of the clubs in this ISL system who are looking at numbers, who are looking at looking at how they can sort of, on how they can create and continue to survive, but not push for the top. I think that's the big challenge for the Blasters, as is with some other of the teams, right? That they want to be there, yeah. So, yeah, that's the reality. How is profit sharing coming in? And Blue, that's my question. Where are the profits? I don't see profits at the moment. Now, if you have a profit sharing model, generally between the sides, we need to talk about profits first. I don't see profits anywhere, right? So that is, for me at the moment, the biggest challenge for the AIFF. And let's see how they sort it. Very, very tricky, very, very difficult. No, it's close to 6,000 crores. Loss sharing is correct word. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think people understand in the first place, I was never a sustainable model. It was all pump in your cash. Rishabh, the problem of the ISL or of all other pro leagues in India was and is that you tried to copy the IPL. In the IPL, you have spendings which are uncompared to anything else, right? Uncompared to that, uncompared to everything else, and that will be my question to them, right? And yeah, and to me, that is the big challenge. That model is dependent on television rights. And as long as there's no television, every other thing, you could be profitable in regard to your gate receipts, in your sponsorship, in your merchandising, in your marketing. But around the world, 50% or 50% more of 50% of your profits are coming from television rights. Not profits, incomes. Profits is wrong, incomes, right? And that takes care of your costs. No matter whatever will happen, guys, you can see this government does not support everything. They have destroyed government and it was their funds and they need to pay it. And that's the biggest problem. Aditya, he's part of the problem. He's not part of the solution. That's, I think, what, your opinion on AIFF estimate, what would you do if you were the AIFF head? Pranjal, the point here is, what's the way forward? The AIFF is in a catch-22 situation because on one side, the AIFF needs to ensure that that the AIFF is in a situation where the AIFF needs to keep the system running. They're struggling with the money, with the amount of money that they have at the moment. And if the money doesn't come, if the FSDL goes out, if ISL doesn't exist, what then exists next season? That's the problem. Yeah. Kalyan is not the only problem. Entire AIFF and state FAs are accountable for every single problem. Yeah. I think FSDL and AIFF regarding contract extended after the Supreme Court final verdict. Let's see. Right. It is something, yes. We'll have to see what happens. Sorry, little things with my parents had to just take care of. Sorry. Let's see. Yuvraj, if you think, I mean, I would hope that it is sorted, but the Supreme Court angle is another angle, which is a problem as well. As I've said multiple times, it could lead for an FIFA AFC intervention, and let's see what happens. By the way, Indonesian 19 player playing in United League Indonesia signed by senior Sao Paulo club in Brazil Division 1. Not bad. It's laughable. Whatever funds AIFF is getting, just check AIFF 2023 budget. They had to make a lot of cut down. Yes, AIFF is not run properly, but it's not just the problem, rather a lot. It's, guys, I still don't understand, that with the money that they had. I understand that the costs have gone up from pre-COVID to now post-COVID and everything. But the AIFF also was running on a budget where they were trying to put money aside every year. So let's see what happens. By the way, I watched Brentford highlights. Hamza Chaudhary most probably play like right back. Don't know, he might switch to midfield. I think for Bangladesh XYZ, he will be more of a midfielder than a right back. This hate against FFX, like people thinks the people inside it all are bad, but in reality, people doesn't know there are also good people inside the system, like some. Yeah, that's very very true. Don't you feel covering Indian football is like fighting for a lost cause? What keeps you motivated knowing that nothing is going to change? Chirag, if I was um, if I was someone on social media, a content creator or a YouTube or whatever, then I would take this stance. But uh, uh, on the other side, I see uh, that I've tried to do my things as little as they are to try and work within the system with its issues, with its problems. Um, Sometimes it's worked, often it hasn't. So therefore, let's wait and see what I can do. Yeah, and therefore, um, it is something which is which I will keep fighting for. Yeah, it might be a lost cause. At the end of whenever I get even older, I might be in that situation. And but I'll try and do whatever I can for Indian football. I've done that over the years. Has it worked? Some will say yes, a lot will say no. I don't know. I've tried to do my things as honestly as I could, and let's see where it takes us. Playing in midfield, he gets the right support. He'll be dangerous for us. Yes, Rishabh. One bad apple spoils the whole orchid. No good is left in AFF. All are corrupted. No, I don't think all are corrupted. I think corruption is there, but again, not all. He's overrated. He's not that much of a killer quality. I think we can handle him. Let's see. People may deny it as much as they want, but cricket unites this country. The celebration yesterday was wild, entire country. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Solo Flame. I'm fine. Last season, Mohammedan Super Giant lost in the cup final. They should win this time. Let's hope so. Let's wait and see what happens. But it looks like that they are, um, at least the others will try and do something. What a goal by Robbie Hunter says. On our, if football can achieve something big, it can unite Indians. I think any sport, any big sport, any big event, any ticket event can unite India. And, uh, 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 you know, so therefore, for me, yeah, this is football. Football needs that big success for us to be pushing forward. He's playing in the championship. Our players at best are fifth-tier quality. Bangladeshis might overhype him, but we should not be underestimating. Remember, we all thought Afghanistan will be easy 6 points. Yeah, Rusha, very, very right. And Afghanistan players, I mean, four of the players were not even playing at the time, right? So these are all realities of where we are at this moment, and therefore, let's wait and see what can be built. And yeah, let's see where it goes. I personally know so many amazing players. Like who will play in CFL might have to play Cape also for money. Agent culture has failed in our local players. Akash, yeah, and the amazing players and playing at the top. The journey is quite long, and that's why I did a mistake. Did a mistake. I did a video today. Where I asked the question is like, um, what does it take to be Indian football national team striker? And to me, Sunil is a very very good example of a player who failed. I don't know how many times, right? Sunil failed. Let's be honest, at Mohun Bagan, he failed at Kansas City. He failed at Sporting, and all these failures made him stronger, made him bigger. To me, all these players that are mentioned, yeah, they're agents and all that stuff, and the one or the other player is missing. But if someone is an exceptional talent, he or she will break through the system and through the ceiling, because the system is not blind to that. If someone sees someone who's an exceptional talent, they will pick that up. And that exceptional talent, I don't see that exceptional talent at the moment. That would be my biggest concern. That the last big talents that I've seen, the biggest talent that I've seen in my time, I'm Vijan. According to me, no doubt about it. This is what I have seen. I am Vijan, exceptional, right? From a talent perspective. Baichung and Sunil, hardworking, right? That's why they are where they have reached, right? Changte was a great talent. Him and Jerry M at the time, right? When they got the chance to train at Liverpool, when they were picked up. But it's taken him years to get to the level, and even he is inconsistent. But then otherwise, who should we be talking about generally as talent? Who should true, but who will tell these? Yeah, that's also Indian players who think they deserve to play in Real Madrid. Yeah, that's much of it. As much you have reservation, as much of what you, Mr. Bajaj, predict this would happen. I can't agree with FSDL though. Obviously, yeah. The only thing isn't only Hamza in his first match. I don't think that will make a huge difference. We need to see ourselves. Blue, that's my whole point. We need to me is we need to look ourselves. I think our team is not as bad as we've played. Our team can be better. And the question is, can Manolo get results out of this team? Right? To me is let's wait and see what happens. Sadly, in Kolkata, Maidan, our own players are getting ignored. One of my neighbor boy in my hometown played for Southern Jomita, now play Cape. Who will help? Who held IFA accountable? Akash, this is not the issue of the IFA. It's on the clubs. In Kolkata, surely it is a huge problem, and you need to know people. To me, that is, how do players come up? There's a lot of, not even agents. It's about coaches and managers who look at things. But if someone is really, really exceptional, talented, they will be able to make it outside. So that's my point. A YouTuber, Bengali sports blog, got death threats just because he spoke against EB officials. It's unreal. Guardiola, never acceptable. Yeah. Kerala Blasters FC, Mohammedan Supergiant, FC Goa, Jamshedpur FC, and Mumbai City FC are profitable clubs of India. Yuvraj, who's telling you that? Who is telling you that any of these entities are profit making? And don't come with some planted articles in some business newspaper or something. Let me tell you that all these entities that you've mentioned are losing money. So how do you look Abhishek Thekcham as a player? He was replaced, or he has replaced, Ashish Rai. Karam, hi, welcome back. I think it's a good thing for the player. Can play on the left, can play on the right. Very talented. And therefore, so for me, it's something. It's good. Let him come in, and let's see. For him, it's getting that exposure to the national team itself is good. Is he going to play? I don't know, but if he impresses, who knows? Maybe he might get a chance. Exit of Constantine and Praful did more harm than good, even if their work wasn't world class by any stretch of imagination. But now it seems like due to current course of events. Avijit, I've always said that, and that overall, despite all the things that weren't done, but at least the system was running. The system was running. The AIFF had money. The AIFF had money in the bank. The youth tournaments, youth competitions were happening. Youth tournaments and grassroots was growing year on year. That all has stopped over the last 2.5 years, right? That is the reality of Indian football. One thing I forget to mention every time, aside technical issues, the biggest issue with the current gen Indian strikers is their ability to get into goal scoring positions. Yeah, very good point, Sarawat. How many countries participate in Champions Trophy? Neither I know cricket nor follow, but Indians don't really know except us. No one take cricket seriously. Makash, that's the reality. But again, it's a big thing in India. Yes, ISL is like a franchise league. Yeah, of course it is. Like IPL, I guess you're saying. Under Profile Lord Steamert was appointed and Boyer was it a disaster. Rishabh, not everything that was happening under Praful Patel is right. Yeah, but at least um, you know that is something which is there. Yes, the Champions Trophy final viewership peaked at 800 million. There's a new record for viewership for Hotstar. Wow. As the season has ended for Punjab FC, any advice from you? Should they keep the coach? Which foreigners should they retain? Karam, overall, I like the approach of the coach, yeah, but for them foreigners, yeah, I would surely keep Luka Machin because Luka Machin is someone that I like that gives a lot to Punjab FC. And on the other side, yeah, Novoselic had his time, but also had a lot of injuries towards the end now. I think they need to look at the structure. I think they need to strengthen their bench and they need to keep on to their young talent. I think that a lot of young players, Abhishek, for example, or Abhimite, Paramveer, Mohammed Suhail, all these guys could be targets of other teams. So that will be very, very interesting to see. Why AIFF is struggling for money, what they do with 50% per year money. Yuvraj, if you look at it, they run the I-League, they run the I-League 2, IAWL, IAWL2, they do the Santosh Trophy, they do the Women's Nationals, they do the Youth Nationals. They run the national teams, have an office, run courses, this, that, everything. All of that costs money, right? So the problem is also that nobody wants to, for example, talk about is that the AIFF actually gives grants out to clubs in the I-League, I-League 2, IWL. They get grants, right? So that is something which is quite a bit of money where I'd say maybe somewhere to cut down. Why are you giving grants to clubs? If clubs are unable to participate in the leagues and under their own costings, then should they take part? I mean, ISL is working as a franchise league like IPL. Yeah, it Solo Flame, it is. At the end of the day, the ISL was built and structured on the IPL, on an American franchise league, on the Premier League. That sort of combination made that ISL. I think FSDL may leave after losing 5,000 crore. They tried to mimic IPL, failed miserably. Maybe reason why pretty much stopped promoting ISL on TV last few years. They just want the contract to run out. So Rava, that's my fear, which I've mentioned. Run out and leave. So Rava, exactly what I've been mentioning for quite a while, that they have tried their bit. Did they do everything right? I don't think they did everything right. But they are in a very, very tricky situation where they need to decide is that do you want to continue as FSDL? And what can you change? And there needs to be, in my opinion, there needs to be some dramatic change in regard to how you run the league, how you run the whole system, and that is, it is something of a reality check of that they thought they wanted to create something, but couldn't happen. Do you think bringing Chetri is retrogressive step? What is Manolo's contribution in building team? How is he different from Steamach? Turn. Orijit, Sunil coming back is an acceptance of the failure of the system, yeah? And of creating new talent. At least in my time, I say that again and again, we've been very, very lucky that we transitioned from I am Vijayan to Baichung Bhutia and from Baichung Bhutia to Sunil Chetri. You didn't even have one. At some stages, you had I am Vijayan and Baichung were playing together. Baichung and Sunil were playing together. But since Sunil's been there, there's been no one, there was a time where JJ was around, even Robin Singh was there for a certain period of time. But in the last few years, Sunil was on his own. Sunil has had his best season in years. That's also a reality. So I hope that can be sorted. Wonder how these players are even made strikers at youth level. Likely they turn any Tom, Dick, or Harry who scores a few goals into one. Yeah. And there is where the coaches, I think most of their losses were from first 3 seasons. FSDL and clubs franchises really spent a lot of money in marketing track work full of athletic hoardings. Akash, actually not. Because in the first 2-3 years, there was even a little bit of sponsorship money coming in here and there. If you look at the sponsorship money is dried out. I would think that a Mr. Goenka is today losing more money a season than he lost at the start. By far, actually. If you look at the spendings at the moment from his side, I think he's losing more money. And I think a lot of others are as well. Because again, the sponsorship, if you look at the sponsorships, right, the values that the clubs put, take East Bengal as a very, very good example. East Bengal had a certain valuation for front of the shirt. And no one was willing to buy that. And they kept it free at the end, right? So that's the reality. We will never know where AIFF spends without audit report. Blue, look at the old audit report, right, which is available on the AIFF website. And there you will get the key points on what they're spending. As I said, your key spendings are I-League, I-League 2, IWL, IWL 2, Santosh Trophy, Women's National, youth competitions, national team, men's, women's, youth. That's a big chunk. Salaries of coaches, staff, referees. But yeah, I would like to know why these costs have gone up so dramatically. Can a protest help us speak against AIFF and FSDL? Yeah. Solar Flame, you can do a protest. Why not? Even if it's a silent protest, that it's aware that that people are unhappy with how things are running. Why not do it? Organize it. Is FIFA extending World Cup to 64 teams? Can teams like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka make it? Can India still stay relevant? Stuff with this attitude, let's say, on Asia. I'm done for your take. Origin, I don't know about the 64 World Cup, if it's going to happen or not. Someone put it into the room because FIFA is celebrating its 100th anniversary. The World Cup is celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2030. Let them organize a 48-team World Cup first, and then let's see. But I don't think so. I don't see a 64 World Cup being realistic. What was the Super Cup dates again? From 21st of April. In my opinion, this inability to get into goal scoring position is the bigger problem for Indian strikers than technical problems. So rather, it's a combination of all these instances. Realistically, how do you think FSDL problems will get solved? I'm seeing FSDL bagging more control for less price, considering FS track record recent times if they get anything nice. Obijit, for me, the problem here is Reliance has invested a lot of money. Have tried to do. They have their own failures as well because they have not been able to commercialize the product that like they would like to or would like to have happened. That's the challenge for them. And I mean, if you read what has been put into the public domain properly, then it says they just want to do ISL and you do the rest. And the AIFF actually has done that this season. If you look at it, the AIFF has stepped out and said, you know what, we are in a situation that that the AIFF has given its rights to Shachi, the other rights. So that's going to be interesting. In instances, match stopped while playing due to FIFA ban after all preparations of FIFA and didn't get done. Yes, matches have been stopped, but not due to a FIFA ban. Let's put it this way. Over the years, we had declined rather than rising, or structure issues made us poor. Let's see what Meghalaya can bring. Yeah, Murali, let's hope so. Why is Kalyan tenor seems so bad? What's his fault and what's beyond his control? Abhijit, the first thing is, it's the mentality of our day that what people did before, everything is bad, right? And the problem here is Yes, there were mistakes, there were issues. But at least the things were running. For example, Indian Arrows program. Yes, there were some talks about this and that and everything, financial irregularities can be understood, can be talked about. But the India's Arrows program was a good program. You should have continued with it. Um, youth leagues were built. Youth leagues, the grassroots structure was being built with baby leagues. Why does it have to all be rebranded, renamed, and given this and that and everything? So those are the things which are at his fault, management fault. A lot of people left the AIFF, you know, who knew the system inside out and who knew how to keep the system running even with not enough money. My friend is a football fan. I'm asking, why are you not supporting Indian football? He said because of poor playing for a long period. He support Europe football because it's interesting. Yeah, Morali, that's what some people say. J League and MLS and difference. Yeah, those are two different leagues. What differences? Again, I don't watch them too much to be able to tell you that. If you don't have the positional sense in final third, you simply aren't a striker. 99% of current young strikers don't deserve to be strikers. Yeah. How good USA compared to Morali? These comparisons, I'm leaving that aside. If FSDL leave, can AIFF and franchises work together to keep ISL going? Abhijit, if FSDL leave, then the franchisees also leave. Which franchisee will stay? I think that needs to be understood. So in my opinion, PFC should keep Luka, Novoselic, Pulga, Philip, and should look to sign a centre back and striker for next season. Yeah, could be an option. But I said Philip Merzilak and Novoselic to me were a little too much injury prone. And Pulga Vidal, yeah, had his class. Let's see, yeah, let's see. Do you think Irfan is any better than Raheem Shivasakti? I don't know why I felt a trust issue with the latter two, but I have felt some ease with that of Irfan. Shivam, I agree with you on that point. I also have that feeling that Irfan is a better striker uh, 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 than the other two. If you see where he's come from, uh, uh, um, you know, than the others. Shivasakti burst onto the scene, hasn't kept his standards, you know. And Rahim Ali to me has to be able to score. That's the thing which I feel is missing with him, right? With Rahim Ali, very often that's the point that is missing. Hi Kumar, what's your take on new model article released from One Kumar, let's wait and see what happens. Is it really all true? Is it not true? Let's wait and see. And if you want to hear some of my earlier takes, this video is already nearly an hour long. Have a look at all this stuff. If Irfan stays consistent next season too, ideally we could transition from senior to Irfan, but for that to happen, Irfan needs to play for in that position at club level. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, Rushabh, the only point is that if Irfan plays in a club where, let's say, they play two strikers, and he's not forced to play as a winger. But if you see his finishing yesterday also, he's getting better. And that is where, I agree on that point with Shimon, so that's something which is there. Foreign coaches won't be trusting Indian strikers. It's a problem. But if someone, Sunil has been able to get that trust from foreign coaches over the last decade plus across clubs. The old audit report showcased some huge amount of something to organize meetings, like it was an insane amount. Shivam, to organize a meeting, to fly in all the state associations or fly in stakeholders from across the country. India is a big country. It's not a cheap thing. Then you have to put them up, transport them, do this. And they've transformed over the last 5-6 years. A lot of stuff has been going on online. But I am also a friend of that certain meetings have to happen face to face, right? It's just needed. Which is about New Deal, which follows top of leagues like model. Kumar, top 5 leagues is not the model that we can follow, because at the end of the day, all these models are built on that television rights is the main revenue income stream to run your league, and our revenue stream at the moment is a big zero. Actually, I think Ryan is very good at getting into position, but he often fumble. Or fumble, doesn't score, hits the keeper. Yeah, precision. He needs to work on it. If Steamers gave him more time in those useless tournaments instead of every time, probably would not be 1 year without win. Could be. Could be. I wonder if FSDL focused more on EU football viewers. Some sustainability might have been created there. Is this narrative that ISL made football popular in India, which complete BS? Rishabh, to me, there are two things which I used to say at Mumbai City in 2014. My issue is it doesn't matter what kind of football you support if you want to come in. To convince someone who's following European football to watch and support Indian football, I personally feel is tougher. You know? So therefore, it is anyone who has some sort of interest I can target to come in and watch, be loyal, support. That's it. And football's popularity was there before the ISL, even if it is what, so therefore, it's a problem. So new constitution means new election. Man, new constitution should mean new elections, yes. Did you think transition to senior national team from junior is not only India issue but international issue as well? Murali, yes. It is, it can be, it shouldn't be, but it is. A lot of players don't make it from the youth to the senior teams. If you see, let's say you look at the England team from the under-17 World Cup in 2017, which they won in Kolkata. How many of those players are actually at the top level? The biggest names, right? The biggest names, have they really made it? Emphasis on national team players will be again come to the forefront again after dust settles with these fiascos, disasters. AFC campaign money will run out without any visible changes. Let's see what happens, Abhijit. Let's say if FSDL break up, what exactly will happen to ISL? Pranjal, it will shut down. FSDL is the parent of the ISL. Yeah. Unless local clubs get promoted to ISL and they start to play in their local stadiums, will never enter non-footballing states. My point of view. Yeah, but what are local clubs, Akash? There have been local clubs in the I League 2 and all that stuff. And they've got a lot of local clubs or new entities or local clubs playing. How are they playing in front of big crowds, or are they not playing in front of big crowds? Sometimes you have them, and then a long term, yeah. Even Sunil play as a forward, not a striker in BFC position shouldn't be issued. That's my point. That's a very good point, Blue. Sorry, I'm late. Whatever's the update so far from the meeting. There is no update from the meeting. There is some speculation which has been put out, and everybody is going gaga about those speculations. But there's nothing concrete on it, right? It seems like someone on purpose, that's the reality. Hi, Mayank. I'm good. How are you? Is there any budget cut for Mumbai City? Mayank, as far as I know at this moment, no. Again, this will be a conversation in the coming weeks before, they move into the new season. Real Kashmir and Jamshedpur FC are successful to bring football culture to Kashmir. Respectively, we need more such clubs in small towns. Yeah. Can a league without relying on broadcast rights? I don't think so. Abhijit, if you ask me, I don't think any league in any sport can survive. Any instances you hope went zero on Indian football and hope went on high. Murali is always, a wave pattern. Sometimes it's higher. Let's see. Another, after following Indian football for some time now, which I do not have any anger, frustration, sadness, but I still have the same passion along with that empathy. Moreover, I want to do something for Indian football, whether it's technology, youth, grassroots, or football professional management or something. I want to do it in my country, which is my dream to do. Great. Start somewhere, Kumar. What's your thought about how to reduce local logistical costs for clubs with ISL and I-League? Akash, I think the logistical cost is not your problem. Your logistical costs will remain even if you half the league and keep, say, okay, I do it, I don't know, East Zone and West Zone. Your problem are the salaries across the board in Indian football. Jackson Irvine plays for St. Pauli. How good a player he was in Europe. Morali is a good player. He's the captain of St. Pauli. He's playing Bundesliga. He's Australia captain. Yeah, he's a quality player. I don't rate Irfan that high. He has good work rate and is also decent defensively. Ekman Wert is fine and third movement is poor. The same issue as I mentioned for kind strikers. Yeah, but Zoravar, can we find better options? That would be my counter question. Irfan has had a good transition in last two seasons from shifting to ISL from I-League 2, and the best thing I like about him is the hungry runs he makes, which does give me hope. That's what I'm saying. And this is the combination, Zoravar and Shivam, that you guys need to look at, that this is someone who has played at, I-League 2 level, 3 seasons ago for FC Bangalore United. Before that in the Goa Pro League. And from there, he's now moved to an ISL team. He's played 2 years now in an own coil team. Own coil brought in a lot of talented players. Gurkirat, Kian Nasiri, had Farouk, had this player, had that player, Vinci Barato, XYZ, and he still was playing. So therefore, that is a positive in my opinion. Your reaction to someone claims savior of Indian football, I produce most number of Indian players. Let them speak, Murali. I know what whoever is done or rather not done. Did China player played in any top league? Yes, Murali. You've had Sunji Hai used to play in the Premier League for Man City. Du Wei used to play at Everton. Jiaji Shao used to play in Germany for Eintracht Frankfurt. So yes, they have had players in the top leagues. What do you think went wrong with Mumbai City FC? The squad didn't click. This is a team, and it applies to most teams. If there is, if a team clicks, or a player or two are really exceptional and they're pulling the team through, then the rest of the squad also seems to be performing, and that is something which I feel is where we're missing out at the moment, right? People may not notice this, but there are more than 10 players in ISL from Jharkhand. Interesting, Hannibal. Interesting fact. Some names are really bizarre in the selected squad. Smoking Tom, I don't think so. I don't think there is any bizarre selection from that part. So does that mean ISL clubs will have to join I-League, or will they join state leagues, or will they just shut down? Also, seeing joining mid Irfan focused, didn't it? Kanjal, if the ISL shutdowns, I think most of the ISL teams will shut down. I don't know if there's going to be a commitment, because the question is, if the ISL shuts down and Reliance does not pay the money to the AIFF, is the AIFF in a position to actually run its system? That would be my first question. And the simple answer to that is, I don't think the AIFF is in a position to run its system without the money from Reliance, right? So therefore, my concern would be, can they keep this whole system running? And to me, I think most will shut down. Some might play I-League, but I don't even know if the I-League can exist. The AIFF without the Reliance money is in serious trouble. How good India PO player compared to low edition player in Europe? Murali, some of the POs are mid-level players, and yeah, If salaries are brought down and clubs make people turn up for games, can clubs make any or even little profits? Rushabh, you need the television money. You need money coming in into the system for the clubs. And we're not talking about small money. I would think that each ISL team needs about 20, 25 crores a year coming in from television to be able to create something realistically, right? And if I look at, say, investments into Mohun Bagan, then you're talking about 50, 60 crores per club, which needs to come in. And if you're talking about 50, 60 crores coming in per year, then the overall budget of a television broadcaster needs to be 1,000 crores, right? Who is going to give you 1,000 crores to run in? Look at Shati, 2.5 crores for the whole shebang of the AIFF. Aradin plays in left wing but scores most goals. Hannibal, very, very right. You don't need to be a central striker to be scoring goals. Do you think England always has problems with coach and management? Morally, sometimes they've had, sometimes they haven't. I think clubs like Mohun East Bengal will survive if ISL shuts down, not sure about others. East Bengal and Mohun would somehow survive, but the question is that if you look at East Bengal or look at Mohammedan Sporting over the last few years, that since the ISL has come in, that they have not been able to be party of those big boy club, right? So that's the, you know, how good reaches baseball in Europe. Monali, small niche, you know. I don't think without FSDL, AIFF can even run any league and cup. Blue, that's the reality. That is the problem, right? Now I have a question for you. If you know answers why there is no database which is relation database management or non RDBMS, which will be helpful to maintain the data, track the whole lower tier division and state division or district division or coaches personnel to work with the set objective to track the system, which is done easily with open source RDBMS SQL. Kumar, I am not so much of a techie. I don't know if that could be an answer or you know, I don't know. How good do you think is Jan done? Is as good as Hamza? Jan is surely as good, if not better than Hamza Chaudhary. So therefore, Jan is a cam, Hamza is a CDM. Yeah, Jan can be a cam, but also can be a winger. Another, from what I've seen, Irfan's position is quite good, much better than Rahim, Manvir, etc. He's immaculate with his positioning, but sometimes you need the perfect ball to score the goal. Yeah, but you know, that's the challenge. That's the challenge with him. How much does TV viewership generate for ISL? Any approximate figures? Rishabh, it's generating in revenue zero. Like I've been inside from Indian footy for 5 years, but sometimes it's pretty bad mentally. How did you stay for this for more than 2 decades? About half. Renald, you can't allow this to get too close to you. That's the most important thing. Ronaldo in wings, Messi in right wing, Mbappe in left wing, says Hannibal. Yeah. Where do you place Harry Suter? He signed for Leicester. Do you think their domination is just as compared to Japan? Murali, I don't follow Harry Suter that much that I can judge Harry Suter. Australia at the moment is not as good as they want. Dixon Singh what made different defensive midfielder, but rather see Murali, he has height on his side. He has a certain style and a way of playing, but at the moment he has to be fitter. Good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, Ishan. I hope you're doing fine as well. One thing about Goenka is that it looks as if the losses he incurs don't hurt him much, and he looks like someone to go and invest till the very end. Yeah, looks like it. But my question would be if Mohun Bagan, let's say 2 years in a row, finish fifth, could he lose interest? That would be my fear in someone like him. You know, for him, as long as it's going fine, as long as they're winning and being successful, I don't see a danger that Sanjeev Goenka will pull the plug. But if Mohun Bagan Supergiant fail, what happens then? Does he still stay and commit, or does he say, "Thank you very much, I'm trying to change something"? Scotland First Division is comparable to which league in Europe or world in terms of quality? I would say that the Scottish Premier League most probably is of the championship level, I would say. Why other sports India suffer compared to cricket? Is it interest or lack of performance, something missing or poor planning? Oh, Murali, it could be everything that you said. Cricket is just too big commercially. It lives in no other space. Lack of interest, lack of performance, lack of coaching, lack of infrastructure, all of it. Too early, I know, but do you see Apuya walking into the playing 11, one of the first names of the team, Shillong with Chetri? Yes, 100%. Apuya is our best defensive midfielder. Talked with Jan a few days back. He still believes that India will allow OCI players and he will be able to represent India. Rahul, I hope so. I seriously hope so. Let's wait and see. If ISL can not generate any money, why FSL set a base price of 550 crore for 2 years? Akash, it wasn't set by FSDL. It was set by the agency who was doing the bidding process for them for the TV rights, and that is the base price that they said, and therefore no one came forward, right? Good night, Kumar. Speak to you soon. Thought, what is Mr. Gonchachis in particular like? Is it just personal ambition? Blue, I don't know. If you ask me that way, I wouldn't know. Yeah. Is there? Why is there? I don't know. I don't think Manvi start before Changte national team. Oh, solo. I don't think so. I think Changte still is ahead of Manmir on that right wing. Any instance you got shocked from Indian football, surprised by the way of playing? Yeah. Yeah, it's happened. In a positive, but also more often in a negative way. I don't think the broadcasting rights for ISL will be 275 crore per year. Yeah, Akash, but that's a figure. Yeah. That you would need to generate to share money with the ISL franchisees or clubs. Yeah. It will be interesting to see who plays as the box-to-box midfielder in India for the upcoming games now that Thapa is not there. Yeah, is that going to be the case, or will he play more of a playmaker? Ishan, let's wait and see. Dhanapal Ganesh had his time, but after that, yeah. Now that Sunil is back, should Irfan be played as winger in place of Liston Bryson? Rishabh, that's an interesting question. Yes, could be an option. Would be interesting to play, right? Irfan on the left wing can be an option. Goenka with Mohammedan Supergiant does Bayern Munich, or then what? What's his future goal? Like Hannibal, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Any instance you felt women team more successful than men, same as you playing better than men? See, the women's team has been more successful than the men's for a number of times, right? Over the years, they still actually are. And youth playing better. Yes, I've seen some youth teams have done better than the seniors. Are the talks between FSDL and AIFF really on or just rumors? Ishan, I think there are no talks on. I think that's the first thing. I think, as I said, there are no talks. It's just that some stories are being broken out and some stories are being made, and now we'll have to wait and see what really happens. Does Ryan Williams have OCI card? Suravar, I honestly don't know. I thought of asking someone, but I actually have to ask that person still. Will Bryson get immediate start or Liston, Ashik, Brandon play? Blue, I said Irfan is also an option on the left. So we've got options on that side, right? And Brandon, to me, more in the middle. Even Bryson potentially someone for the middle. Let's wait and see. But if you get a good leader at top, what can he do considering the system? Brendan, I think with a good leader, all the problems we are facing at this moment might be a little less, right? So that would help. That would surely help. Apart from Korea, who can compete with Japan in Asia? On their day, sometimes Iran, sometimes maybe the Uzbeks might be able to compete, the Qataris, the Saudis, So, yeah. It will be interesting to see what will be the base price for broadcasting rights for this season? I hope Sony comes for broadcasting, but the current bid price is overvalued. Akash, yeah, that's the problem. Let us wait and see what happens first. I think if there is a league in the summer or not, but that's the challenge at the moment. Surprised by Syria playing style. I remember they played another match against Iran Asian qualifiers. Okay. Can the women team beat someone like Myanmar or Philippines, Iran? I think, but rest of pot one teams, I think we don't stand a chance. Myanmar, yes. Philippines, Iran. I think Iran has been quite difficult. Again, and Philippines with their American input looks difficult to me. Going an interview post Shield said that this is only the beginning and expect something big in future. So Robert, he said that now. How many times has he said this? He said this, I think, now 4 or 5 times in the last few years. Whenever the team has won something. So therefore, let's see. To me, as I said, I did that video a few days ago. 12 days ago, right? Mr. Gonka built Mohun Bagan as a football club. I think that's the question that someone should need to ask him, right? That's where, yeah. Do you think good leader can bring huge change in case of Vietnam? Murali, a good leader can try and bring change. Will he be able to bring change in any federation, in any sport, in any country, in anything? Let's see. Let's see. Yes, good. In next few months. So Robert, that's the thing, right? I mean, for him, something big at the moment seems to be being every year someone who's a bigger name, right? Can they be elected? Yeah, why not, Brennan? Theoretically, of course. Goenka doesn't know apart from throwing big money. Hannibal, that's the thing. That's my, I wouldn't say that in that way, but to me, that is, I think, the biggest problem with Mr. Goenka is that there's been money spending. Is there something else that has happened that he's pushed, that he's done? Has he done infrastructure? None of that has happened. So it's been all first team and nothing else. So therefore, yeah. In current India, protesting against the AIFF will label you as anti-national. This current government is against protests. Yeah, so that's also a point. Broadcast interest will dip massively. Most big clubs in a downward spiral. Kerala playing with 3,000 fans in stands is not something I thought would see. Paulu's animation, the point with the Blasters is that to me, it's a communication failure of the Blasters management with the fans. Now they're trying to create a fan board and doing this and doing that. But I think you should have communicated very, very clearly in the last 2-3 years as the Kerala Blasters, as a club, and said, guys, you know what? We're trying to build something, but we also have to look at our numbers. We have to look at our books. All of it is safe. So therefore, that is something, that is something which needs to be kept in mind. Goenka is poor man's how much? Oh, that's a hard one, Rushabh. Are you surprised with Singapore not strong in Asia region despite good structure? Murali, for that, I don't know enough about Singapore or its football. The only thing that logically comes to my mind is to me to say, you know what? Singapore is very small, so their talent base is going to be very, very limited. Also, trend of Goenka to give a big purchase sign-in, like last season, the squad was perfect, but to sign McLaren, he kind of threw Sadiko out. Yeah, and to me, I still think that signing a defensive midfielder would have been better than bringing in another striker. I thought that the balance would be better, and if Alberto or if Tom Alderweireld is injured, you have an option. So therefore, that would have been something that I would have done. But again, it's, to me, all this talk of Mr. Goenka, correct me if I'm wrong, but my feeling is it's always been about the team and the players. It's not been about, let me build a club. Blasters fans want to control the club, but they must understand that's a 100% privately owned club. Their fans should ask for stake in the club. Akash, I don't think they want control of the club. I think they want success. right? And that is the challenge at the Blasters, that the Blasters have had off the field the most success of all ISL franchises, right? On the field, again, 3 finals, also not bad, you know. Um, but to me, there needs to be more to be done, right? So therefore, yeah, let's see what happens. Your thoughts on Lal Rinzwala, Lal Bianca, an I-League striker? Yeah. So, yeah. ISL basically came at the wrong time. Back then, there was a trend to mimic IPL success. If ISL was formulated post 2008, I think things would have been different as people by then would have realized. Zoravar, I don't think so. I think it came at the right time, but there were certain parameters at the time which were looked at in a positive way and which didn't click. And that's the reality of things. That if I look back in 2013, 2012, when we were talking about the concept of the ISL, of trying to build the ISL, of where the ISL could go, how it stood, what it should be doing, what it could do, what it needed to do. And I always said, I go back, I said in 2014 in front of everybody that the product needs to be good on the field. You can do whatever marketing you can do, but my problem was always that in the IPL, you have the best talent in the world. Cricket is massive. Look at even hockey. In hockey, the best players in the world are actually playing Hockey India League, right? How much is the interest? But football has the potential. But to me, we needed even bigger names than we brought in. And that could have been done, I think, at the time. But for that, also, then most probably even bigger losses would have to be incurred at the start of the ISL. Maybe then something could have been done. But to me, you know, that's the biggest problem. Anyway, what does the fan advisory board do? They are still unhappy. Blue, an advisory board is, as it says, advice. They're not taking decisions. Are EPL, Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga run by private entities or National Football Federation? All of them are run by private entities. That sports leagues aside, cricket wouldn't be sustainable for long term unless the funding was done correctly and in correct places. Zoravar, tell me a league outside of cricket which is actually working in India. There is none. Again, because of my handball project, I've done a lot of, homework on that front, and there is no league. With all its problems, and that's an interesting one, with all its problems, the ISL is actually the second biggest league in India. It is the longest running league in India. So therefore, that is the reality, that Kabaddi hasn't worked. Hockey, again, whatever people tell me, hasn't worked. And all other sports, tennis, table tennis, pickleball has just been postponed. These are all realities. Blasters management, being honest, will cause bigger outrage since they make highest revenue. They might not be in profits, but they are losing the least. Yeah. I guess COVID is also a very big problem for ISL and football in general in India. COVID was a big problem, but I thought that football covered itself very, very well. If I look at the ISL, if I look at even the I-League, I've done some work during the I-League days. In my opinion, they did very, very good work during the pandemic, and and it survived. Let's be honest, cricket in India doesn't let any other sports grow. Only exception is Kabaddi or the Hockey League, which was interesting. It's disappeared now. Yeah, but even Kabaddi, Rishabh, is not working. The franchise model hasn't been successful in any other sport except cricket. Do you think this approach needs to change for other sports? Tobo, the problem is how, if you don't have a club culture, how are you going to create clubs and entities? And then if you create clubs, who's going to put in the money? So that's the catch-22 that India sort of finds itself in. I'm 100% sure if IPL become a fledged 7-8 month league, it will also struggle for viewership and money. Akash, I don't know. I mean, they are doing it differently, right? They are actually de facto making it a 7-month league, but on a global scale, right? With, you play your team in India, then you play in South Africa, then you play your team in the Caribbean, then you play your team in the US. Now you're going to do an investment into England. They are doing it on a global scale in a different way. Even IPL is a 2-month league. Yeah, then it is. There isn't any way to make ISL clubs profitable. However, as I said, more viewers and TV channels willing to shell out substantial amounts of money. That's the only way I see. And on the other side, slash your costs dramatically, right? But are you willing to say, oh, you know what? Instead of McLaren or a Cummings and all these others, or John Torrals of this world, yeah. IPL is a tournament at its best, not a league by any definition. Yeah, that's also a point, Akash. Still, there is hope that we can do better in upcoming seasons. And don't you think RFDL has been doing a commendable job with the youth tournament? Shivam, RFDL, how many RFDL players have really made it to the ISL? That is to me when I say commendable job. And look at the players who are coming through the level that they're playing, right? So I don't know. It's a lot of work. I don't know about the rest of India, but in Maharashtra, Kabaddi is very popular and people tune in for the league. Rishabh, that's what I'm saying. Again, Maharashtra, it is. I think in the northern belt it is, but there are other parts of India where the Kabaddi league is actually faring very, very badly. And there was a time when people, Star was generating money out of it. Not happening. Do you think certain find difficult to crack other parts of the world? Yeah, Murali, that's life. That's it. That there are certain countries who have been good and others find it more difficult in sports. I mean, whatever IPL is, it's money making success, so we can't compare. And that's the problem. That is Blue. That's the big problem from the IPL to any other league. No, it won't. Viewership may see a slight decline, but with international success in cricket craze, people will watch it anyway. Even Afghanistan matches get 3 crore viewership on Hotstar. It's insane to think about it. I think it's going to take an entire generation to have football, let alone make Indian football popular. Most probably. It's not a short-term project. ISL must start from August. Cricket is not a competitor. Both have completely different views. But Akash, ISL has been growing from year on year. It was a October to December window, and then it increased. Now it's a September to an April window. With another team coming up next season with 14 teams in there, it will grow as well. So it has been growing. It is growing. So that's the thing. That's the life of the ISL. Certain sports find difficult to reach other parts of the world. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, because Murali, certain sports are popular in certain parts, right? Let's say cricket is a very South Asian thing at the moment. Um, you know, let's say ice hockey is very popular in North America. Handball, for example, very popular here in Europe. Baseball has its niches. Rugby has its niches. American football. So yeah, most sports have their niche countries. Is players living in 5-star hotels whole season sustainable? Seems like foreign ISL players in their in an invisible prison are all leagues like this around the world. Babalus, in most leagues, players stay in flats or housing provided or service apartments or whatever. In India, it's just that the whole thing of security of travel, transport, and all that kind of stuff. It makes sense to keep them together in that surroundings. And if these players have to take care of their own lives in an Indian condition, I think a lot of players would leave after 2 weeks. They would not stay in Indian conditions. People say size of India should be at least need to be a powerhouse in Asia, but in nowhere. Yeah, Murali, size can be an advantage, but maybe in this case it's a disadvantage. Even WPL matches are getting 1-2 crore viewership regularly with RCB and Mumbai Indian matches running 4 to 6 crore viewership. Wow, that's crazy. That's why I'm saying most cricket fans will not watch football in any situation. We should accept that cricket is not a competitor role. FSDL and AIFF should understand that too. Akash, I think none of them are saying that the cricket watching crowds should become football watching crowds. No one is saying that. No one has ever said that actually. One of the common criticisms of cricket is time consumption. Yeah, but still they're watching it. Most people grew up watching cricket as something That was always on television. The connect people have with cricket is on another level. It takes generation to build a connection like this. Yeah, Tobo, it is, but it's been since the 80s, right? Before that, cricket was not a non-starter. If Durand Cup and Super Cup are to be played parallel to ISL, they could start from August, right? Rushabh, Durand Cup is a pre-season tournament. Super Cup could start whenever, it could be helped. So therefore, to me, that can be done. But yeah, but Durand Cup is a pre-season tournament, so no, not during the season. Who will be India number 9 in future? Oh, Virat Kohli. That's the big question. I don't know. At the moment, I couldn't give you an answer. Even if the traditional footballing states start to take accountability for football, our viewership will be 20 million easily. Yeah. Akash, if footballing states take it seriously, we're talking about what, 200, 300 million people? There is a section of fans who watch both cricket and football, European regularly, but they'll always choose cricket over ISL national team football. Yeah, that's also a reality, Rishabh. Was before 80s football hockey more popular? Bruce, supposedly it was. Again, I've been told football was the most popular, hockey was this and that. And I've never seen that craze around hockey, to be very, very honest. Football has had its moments, but let's wait and see. I don't know. One way we can promote India hockey compete against Europe giants and beat them. Yeah, on that front, yes. But how many again? If you say only 12 countries play cricket, how many countries play hockey seriously? I become a contrast for India with players certainly worship the sniffing gods. Yeah. We can convince Aisho Speed to switch to India, says Rushabh. Crazy anecdote related to ISL's marketing in first season. I saw a video of Helda Pushtiga meeting schoolboys of a Pune school I wanted to get admission into on the TV in school. Wow, not bad. Not bad. Right, guys, I'll slowly come to the end of this show, 1 hour and 38 minutes. Sorry for these breakups. There was something with my parents which I needed to sort out, so I had to sort of jump out and speak to them quickly. As always, like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't, do leave a like behind. Yeah, 16 likes so far. Thanks a lot for that. I think we can do better. And we're currently at 2,345 subscribers on this channel. So thank you very, very much. And yeah, keep on supporting the channel. Good night, Rishabh. Good night, everyone else as well. Again, we need to build football. It's not so easy. And I'll be trying my bits as always, and keep supporting the channel. Like, share, and subscribe, as I say. Watch the short videos. I did something on what I think what needs to be the aspects in regard to a new India striker. And I'll see you tomorrow night after the Bangalore FC versus Mumbai City game. Good night, everyone.